Hey everybody, it's Rolly, and welcome back to another day of Soulful Journey. So, we are on day 20 of the Soulful Journey. And so, today we're going to be talking about the power of no. So, N-O spells no. And so, I know that one of my clients, actually several of my clients, but one's in particular, one of her, like, thing about me specifically is that whole empowerment of being able to learn to say no and being able to be okay with saying no. Sometimes it's really hard for us to be able to say no. And that reminder of no is a complete sentence. So sometimes but at the same time, so no is a complete sentence. It's hard sometimes to be able to say no to others, but at the same time, sometimes it's hard for us to hear the no from someone else. But when somebody is saying no with boundaries, and so being able to figure out like what is it that's going on. So like when we need to like when we have exhausted wherever it is that we're at, whatever it is that's going on, and a lot of us are caregivers or caretakers and really want to be able to give back to others. And so it's really important for us to be able to learn those boundaries. And we've talked about that a lot in the last 20 days of being able to set boundaries and being able to have these limitations so that we can look after ourselves. And saying no when we need to or want to or whatever it is that's going on is really important for us to remember that this is part of this is a really good way of being able to have some self-care, right? So being able to overlook, so like if this is what we do and this is how we're doing it, and being able to say, yeah, no, that's not going to work for me. And again, you don't have to have an explanation. Like, this does not work for me. But the other person has the right to be able to say, okay, so that's not right for them. So then maybe I need to take a step back. And that's sometimes one of the things that will happen when you say no to somebody. Somebody may not like the fact that you've said no to them for whatever reason, depending on what it is. But we need to respect the fact that they're not okay with it. And that's on them. That's for them. You're making that decision for you, and they're making that decision for themselves. Some people will often get very angry, especially if you are somebody who people can come to you and ask you to do anything for them. And when you say no, it's like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, I'm not happy with you. And they make it very well known that they're not happy with you. And so that really impacts how we may be responding, because we may fall into that feeling guilty or and having some difficulty with that piece of being able to say no. But it is really important for us to be able to say no when we need to say no, and when our instinct is no, then that is really important. So one of the things that I have also learned over the years with respect to being able to say yes or no is not giving somebody an answer right away. So if you are afraid that you may say no when you don't really mean to say no, or say yes when you don't really want to say yes, is being able to tell people when somebody asks something of you, being able to say, okay, let me think about it. Let me get back to you, right? You do not have to say yes and you do not have to say no in that immediate moment. I know that some people need to process things, and when somebody's asking them on the spot, it's easy to say either yes or no or whatever it is that they have going on. So when you actually let people know that, you know what, I need to think about it. And then that allows you to be able to say, okay, yeah, I'm not sure that I'm okay with that. And these are my reasons why. And I don't mean to give those reasons to other people, but so that you can process that piece is also really, really important for you to be able to do. Because when you have that part of it makes a huge difference. But one of the reasons why we often will not say no when we really want to say no is because we feel insecure, or we fear that there's going to be rejection. So like if I say no to to Granny, then maybe Granny's going to like not talk to me anymore, or maybe she's even going to write me out of the will, right? So like those kinds of things. And I'm using that one like very lightly and jokingly, but it's just kind of really important for us to be able to remember that sometimes we have this underlying fear of like, if we set these limitations or set these boundaries or tell somebody we're not okay with whatever it is that they want us to do or whatever their expectations are, then they may leave us. And that may be the case. However, you really need to make sure that like you're not going to ever leave yourself, right? So if you don't look after what it is that you need, then wherever you go, however long that you go, these people may still not be in, they may still not stick around. But you're always going to stick around. You're always going to be around. And so that's the part that's really important for us to be able to remember, is that by saying no to someone else, you're saying yes to yourself. And so that's something to be able to remember. And like I said, sometimes we need to like just kind of give ourselves a some space and some time for us to be able to think about it. And so yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. So one of the things that I've done with clients in the past is where we've actually done some role playing, where we actually kind of go through some scenarios of like, okay, so how are you going to handle that differently? What can you say? How can you say it? And then that gives you that ability of being able to change things up. But in terms of the actionable takeaway, so I will set up some other times of being able to do some role playing exercises, which we still do when we do the Ask Me Anything on Mondays. Depending on what the circumstances are, what people are looking for, then sometimes those are things that we actually go through. And then, but the other thing that I've done is I've created a no script. So it gives you an example of like how to say no in different ways, depending on what the circumstances are. So I put together a no script. And so it's a set of prepared responses that you can actually just kind of pull up and say, okay, so when this scenario happens, then I can use this type of statement and be able to do that. But one of the things that I'm going to reiterate again and remind you is that no is a complete sentence. So N-O period, right? So it's a complete sentence. You do not have to say why you're saying no. But like I said, if at the beginning, when you're first starting to say no, being able to start off with being able to say, let me get back to you. Right. So that way there, it's not a no. You can kind of work up your courage to be able to say, yeah, I thought about it and that's not going to work for me. Again, you can give an explanation if you want to, but it's not necessary. So on that note, I'm going to head off. And if you have any questions or if there's anything else, then we will talk soon. So I will be back on again tomorrow, and bye for now.